The animation for the visual novel currently consists of a single frame, and it's not moving also in a horizontal direction. So let's take a look at it now and attempt to add some additional features onto it. So we have it in the explosion.dart file. Right. There's the update method that's built into Flame. And it has a time counter. So the cycling 60 times per second. From here, we could move the animation, or right now it's just a sprite over. So we'll try it at 100 times the dt, which is roughly 1/60th of a second, and let's see how it looks like. So it's moving about this rate here. I think I'll start off more on the left-hand side. We originally started off in the center, or let's see. The anchor is the center point, so I think it's a good effect once we animate it. The first thing is we're going to change this from a sprite component to a SpriteAnimationComponent, which is also built into the Flame game engine. Animation component, and the SpriteAnimationComponent deals with animations instead of individual sprites. But we will need to first load the sprites in here. So our sprites are in this subfolder right here, SF Explosion, and they're 1 through 10. So let's set up a loop to load all the sprites into some type of array. List sprite for the array, sprites equals for the list. And then we're going to add it in within this for loop. The sprites word is right there, right? And then it's the image dot slash assets is already, or assets slash images is already built in. So we're going to need to start off with the SFX. It's that folder right there. And it's in the explosion. And it's nuclear. And there's a number right there, which we're going to use string interpolation from that I right here. Right? So every time through the loop, it's going to be nuclear explosion 1, nuclear explosion 2. And that's how we're going to grab it. Now we have the list of all the sprites, which is our frame, right? So the frames are this. So instead of the sprite that we're loading here, I'm going to delete it. We'll load an animation. We can build the animation since we have all the frames. So it's animation equals, instead of sprite, it's sprite animation from sprite list, we have the list right here that we just, and all it needs is a step time now, and I think I'll put it to 0.1, so 1/10 of a second, and initially we'll put the loop to true here, and let's check it out and see what it looks like. No errors, and there is an error. So it looks like I have an S in the file name right there. Let's try it again. So far, so good. Okay, it's looking pretty good. All right, so I think when the previous scene will get deleted when we go to the first scene. So I think this is a good situation for our app. No animations initially, they're just reading it. Animation comes up. So next thing we're going to do is try to add these typewriter things in here. Right? So this effect is pretty easy, but I have some problems on Android. So I'll have to test it against a few more, like a few more systems. Right now it's working on the Linux desktop, but I was getting an error on Android. Let's see whether it works here. So time per character, we can set it. See how it's coming up. So we could theoretically reduce the time, but maybe this is a good time. You know, I'm kind of interested in your feedback on the comments on YouTube if you're watching this. Looks pretty good. I'm going to see how it looks with the anchor at the bottom right instead. Went to itch.io and I was looking for some additional graphics to use for special effects, and because the male character Nakoa is remembering Galatrix, I think maybe when she was at the temple, thinking of having this character as one of the special effect features and rename her to Galatrix child. So when she was a child and she's in the castle, and she was kind of unhappy because she was picked on by the children. Perhaps more importantly, we can have her go across the screen horizontally and see how this effect looks like in our game when Nakoa remembers her. So she's going to be a sprite component and not a sprite animation component. But I'm going to copy this anyway as a starting point. So I'll copy the explosion and I'll put it into Galatrix Young, and we will change it to Galatrix Young. Galatrix Young. And we don't need the list of sprites, and it's a sprite component, so we will only need the sprite and not the animation. So Sprite, then we will load it. We have to load it from the game ref. Game ref dot load Sprite. The path would be SFX actors, and it's Galatrix underscore child. Maybe I should just call it Galatrix young to be consistent. Okay. Galatrix young dot PNG, I think. Okay, well, I'll try to attach it to the data now. And it's when Nakoa, he's in Valley of Fortune, and he's remembering Galatrix when she was younger. I think I need to update the pubspec.yaml. Assets, images, SFX, actors. Explosion. That's pretty good. I'll take another shot at using the size of the screen. So let's go, let's see, var char height equals gameref dot size dot y slash 2, and we could go game ref or char height. This would be that's 1200 times char height. Okay, let's see whether this one works. Oh, that looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to go with this. At this stage, you can go ahead and finish the game basically because we can control the special effects per scene. We can have a sprite animation component for some of the special effects. We could have a sprite component without the animation for some of the effects. We can control the dialog here in the data file. Tested the game on Windows 10 desktop and it seems to work fine. So everything seems to be working as expected. If you want to get it working on Windows, so first I cloned it down from my GitHub repository. Then I ran flutter pub get. Then I created the Windows. So the command is flutter create -- platforms equals Windows space and then a dot for the current directory. So this is when I'm in the Galatrix _tutorial file. and or folder, and then that folder, it has the pubspec.yaml in it and the rest of the files. So after that point, I now have a Windows subdirectory, and the command to run the Windows desktop is flutter run -d Windows, and it appears to work fine. Okay, so I added these 3 lines here: widgets flutter binding.ensure initialized flame.device, and you do need to import flame.dart .fullscreen and flame.device.setLandscape. And I'm now testing it on Android. It does appear to work. There is this error here. But I'll see whether it's usable. So on Android, although it does appear to work here, there are these bunch of errors, right? And I believe this is from the typewriter effect. So I'm going to try to comment it out. Since it is working, and I'm actually not using Android in development, I'm going to leave the typewriter effect in, but I'm going to test it without it to see if it makes any difference. And now there's no error. So this is the Android emulator, Pixel 4a here. And it appears to be working fine. I'm not sure if that error appears on a physical device or not, an Android device. And we could adjust the scaling here for Android as well. So it does appear to work. I am going to reinsert this time per character because I like the effect, and it actually does run. There's just a bunch of errors here.